What would you do if death was staring you in the eyes? No escape, no help, no second chance. In that moment, only one thing decides if you live or die: your mind. Most people break when pressure rises. But what if you could remain calm, like a mountain in a storm, untouchable, unshakable, while the world around you collapses? Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated samurai, mastered more than the sword. He mastered the battlefield of the mind, and his secrets can make you unstoppable in any confrontation. Imagine this. You're face to face with a man whose only purpose is to kill you. There's no escape route behind you, no friends rushing to save you, no second chances waiting in the shadows. The only line between you and death is not your weapon, not your muscles. It's your mind. In that terrifying stillness, when fear threatens to consume you, what happens? Will your legs shake uncontrollably? Will your hands betray you with tremors? Will your pounding heartbeat scream louder than your courage? Or will you rise above, steady and immovable, as if carved from stone, unmoved by fear, detached from the chaos, and fully in command of yourself? This isn't fantasy. It isn't a theory to be debated in books. This is survival. And no one understood this truth more deeply than Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history. Over the course of his life, Musashi fought more than 60 life-or-death duels, and not once did he lose. He didn't just scrape by, he didn't merely defend himself, he dominated. His legend lives on not only because of his skill with the sword, but because of something greater, his mastery over the mind. Here's the secret most people miss. Musashi's victories weren't only won with steel. They were won with clarity, strategy, and control. He knew that the fiercest battle is not against the opponent in front of you, but against the storm inside of you. His teachings were not just for warriors of the past. They are a roadmap for anyone who wants to stay calm under pressure today. Whether your battlefield is business, relationships, or the quiet war of daily life, his wisdom applies. Because if you can remain calm under pressure, you win, every single time. His first lesson cuts to the core. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. The biggest mistake people make in confrontation is taking things personally. The moment ego steps in, you've already surrendered. You get emotional, you overreact, you lose clarity, and clarity is the first casualty of pride. Musashi never fought from ego, he fought from strategy. In his Dokudo, he wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." That's the key. Don't let your emotions become the battlefield. Instead, detach. Don't see every insult, every challenge, every attack as a wound to your pride. Step back, observe the situation like an outsider. Imagine you're watching it play out on a stage rather than living it in your skin. The more distance you create, the calmer you become. And the calmer you become, the clearer your vision. Think of business negotiations. The moment pride or insecurity drives your reaction, you become predictable, easy prey. Your opponent can twist your emotions, exploit your pride, and steer you exactly where they want. But the one who remains neutral, unreadable, calm, that person always holds the advantage. So the next time someone insults you, challenges you, or deliberately pushes your buttons, remind yourself it's not about you. It's about control. And the person who stays calm always holds control. Musashi's second lesson is even sharper. Fixation is the way to defeat. Fluidity is the way to victory. Have you ever watched someone panic? Their mind locks onto one single idea, one desperate path, one rigid plan, and they can't see beyond it. Musashi called this fixation, and he called it death. Because the moment you're rigid, you become predictable. Imagine you're in an argument, and your only obsession is to prove you're right. You've already lost. Why? Because the other person can see it. They can sense how badly you want to win. They'll push your buttons, lead you deeper into emotional traps, and watch you unravel. You hand them the keys to your emotions without realizing it. Musashi thought differently. He flowed like water, adaptable, flexible, impossible to trap. He never chained himself to one path. If one strategy failed, he shifted to another. He knew that unpredictability is power, and that fluidity is victory. The man who clings too tightly to one outcome becomes weak. But the man who adapts cannot be broken. We just learned that Musashi warned against fixation, that clinging too tightly to one plan leads only to defeat. Now we step into the next layer of his wisdom, where adaptability and unpredictability become the ultimate weapons. Be formless, be unpredictable, be adaptable. These words sound simple, almost poetic, but they held life and death significance for Musashi. On the battlefield, he never used the same tactics twice. One day, he fought with two swords, overwhelming his opponent with relentless speed and precision. Another day, he fought with nothing more than a wooden sword, proving that mastery resided not in the weapon but in the hand and in the mind that wielded it. Sometimes he even arrived late on purpose, letting his opponents drown in their own impatience, frustration, and overconfidence before the fight even began. By the time Musashi appeared, their minds were already shaken. He always kept them guessing, never predictable, never easy to read. And this lesson is just as critical for us today. Life may not put a sword in our hands, but every confrontation, whether it's in business, in relationships, or in personal struggles, demands adaptability. When someone tries to pressure you, don't give them the satisfaction of a predictable reaction. Stay unraidable. If they expect you to erupt in anger, surprise them with silence. If they expect a fierce argument, calmly agree in a way that unsettles them. In these moments, unpredictability is your shield. Confrontation is war, and war is won by those who remain fluid, not rigid. This naturally leads to Musashi's third principle. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. Think about how most people behave when faced with conflict. Panic takes over. Fear whispers that there is only one way to win. Dominate, overpower, force the other person into submission. But Musashi understood that this narrow vision is what destroys people. True mastery lies in recognizing that there are always multiple ways to reach the same destination. He wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain." What does this mean? It means you don't allow your opponent to trap you in a single narrative. People lose battles not because they lack strength, but because they let their opponent set the terms. They react impulsively instead of thinking strategically. But those who think beyond the obvious, who are willing to choose an unexpected path, gain true control. Victory is not always about brute force. Sometimes the strongest move is not to fight at all, but to walk away, leaving your opponent to collapse under the weight of their own insecurity. Consider how manipulators operate. Their power thrives on your reaction. The insecure feed on attention, on anger, on emotional responses. But if you deny them that reaction, you starve their influence. You drain their power by giving them nothing to work with. In an argument, silence can be more devastating than words. By refusing to be drawn in, you force the other person to overextend, exposing weaknesses they never meant to reveal. In negotiations, pretending to concede may look like weakness, but it positions you for a greater victory later. The best strategists understand this subtle art. They let their opponents feel safe, even superior, right before they strike and take everything. That's why Musashi's lesson is so powerful. Never lock yourself into a single way of winning. Never allow yourself to be predictable. Adaptability is true power. Once you understand that there are countless paths to victory, you stop playing by their rules. You begin playing by your own, and in doing so, you seize control of the game. This brings us to Musashi's fourth principle. From one thing, know 10,000 things. His perfect record wasn't the result of brute strength. It was the result of relentless preparation and deep understanding. He mastered the art of recognizing patterns, the hidden structures beneath every conflict, every interaction, every human game. From one thing, know 10,000 things. At first glance, the phrase sounds mysterious, but its meaning is profound. Once you understand a single truth deeply, you unlock connections everywhere. Every confrontation follows a rhythm, a structure, a pattern. If you can see the pattern, you can predict the outcome before it ever happens. This wisdom doesn't just apply to combat. If you understand human nature, you'll see power plays forming long before they surface. You'll recognize manipulation before it ensnares you. If you study body language, you'll detect lies before the words leave someone's lips. Every movement, every glance, every hesitation becomes a clue. Musashi trained himself to see these things instinctively, so that when he faced an opponent, he wasn't just fighting their body, he was fighting their mind, and winning before the duel even began. That is why Musashi was undefeated. Not because he was the strongest, but because he was the most prepared. His eyes saw deeper, his mind worked faster, his spirit stayed calmer. And that same preparation, that same way of seeing, is available to anyone willing to train themselves to look beyond the obvious. We've already learned how Musashi could see patterns and anticipate outcomes. Now we step into the final edge of his philosophy, the place where psychology, preparation, and self-mastery converge into unshakable power. Picture this, a twitch of the mouth, the briefest glance to the side. Most people ignore these tiny signals, dismiss them as meaningless. But for the trained eye, they are louder than any shout. They betray nerves. They expose fear. They reveal weaknesses the other person thought they had hidden. If you understand psychology, if you take the time to study human nature, you don't need to scream or swing wildly. You can break someone without lifting your voice, without moving your blade. Their insecurities, their hidden fears, their fragile weak points, they all stand before you like an open book. Musashi understood this truth better than anyone. He trained obsessively, not just in the art of sword fighting, but in the deeper arts of strategy, philosophy, psychology, and warfare. He knew that battles are fought on two levels, the visible clash of weapons and the invisible clash of minds. His opponents were playing in the moment. Musashi was already playing 10 steps ahead, and that is why he never lost. He had already seen the outcome long before his opponent took their first swing. This leads us to his fifth principle, one of the hardest but most important to embrace. You can only fight the way you train. Think about that for a moment. Most people crumble when the pressure is real. Why? Because they've never truly trained for it. They live in comfort, imagining that when the storm comes, they'll somehow rise to the occasion. They tell themselves, "I'll figure it out when the time comes." But Musashi called this delusion. He stripped away the illusion of spontaneous bravery and said clearly, "You can only fight the way you train." If you've never prepared for battle, how can you expect to win one? If you've never trained yourself to stay calm when small pressures arrive, how could you expect to remain calm when the stakes are life and death? If you flinch when someone insults you, how will you stand firm when real confrontation comes? If financial pressure makes you panic, how will you survive a true collapse? If you crumble under daily stress, how could you ever rise to greatness? Training is not optional. Training is the price of mastery. Musashi lived this truth. His training was not just about swinging a sword thousands of times. It was about training his mind every single day, facing discomfort, facing fear, facing pressure until calmness became his second nature. His self-control became a weapon sharper than any blade. So you must do the same. Train yourself daily. When someone provokes you, remain calm, because calmness is not weakness, it is a shield. When someone pressures you, stay still, because patience is a kind of power. When someone tries to manipulate you, remain unreadable, because the person who cannot be read cannot be controlled. Every small test in life is an opportunity to sharpen yourself for the larger battles. And here is the secret. Every conflict you face is training for the next. Every insult you resist without reacting is another layer of armor. Every temptation you endure without breaking strengthens your resolve. Every emotional storm you master is another step closer to greatness. Each moment of self-mastery builds momentum until one day you look back and realize you are unshakable. Master yourself, and you master the game. This leads us into the final cut of Musashi's teachings. His philosophy was never just about defeating enemies. It was about mastering yourself. Look around. The world is full of people who let emotions rule them, who lash out in anger, who cling to rigid thinking, who collapse the moment life presses them. But you must be different. If you stop taking things personally, you become unshakable. No one can bait you with insults or hook you with anger. If you stop fixating on one outcome, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you impossible to outmaneuver. If you discipline yourself to see the bigger picture, you become strategic, wise enough to avoid obvious traps. If you learn to recognize patterns, you become unstoppable, because you already know your opponent's move before they make it. And if you train daily for real conflict, you become invincible. You will not break when it matters most. Most people drift through life half asleep. They live on autopilot, reacting without thinking, lashing out without strategy, fearing every confrontation. But in a world where everyone reacts, the one who remains calm is the one who wins. So the next time someone challenges you, insults you, or tries to provoke you, don't panic. Don't break. Don't let them pull you into their storm. Instead, smile. Smile because deep down, you already know the truth. They've already lost. And this is Musashi's gift to us, not just techniques for battle, but principles for life. To master yourself is to win before the fight even begins. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. And if you're ready to go deeper, join our community membership for exclusive training, insights, and strategies to sharpen yourself every single day. Until then, stay calm, stay sharp, and remember, true strength doesn't come from the sword in your hand. It comes from the mastery of your mind.